Hey guys, how's it going? So right now I'll be talking about the Razer Blade 18. So apparently they designed this completely from the ground up. You won't notice that by looking at it right away. I mean, it is a very different design. It's a lot thicker and it's a lot chunkier. It kind of resembles more of like a traditional 18-inch gaming laptop than what Razer typically does when they try to do thin and light style of laptops. And this one is no exception. Like when it sits down, it looks so thick. You can see the gigantic exhaust at the back, and they try to hide it the best they can, but they can only do so much. And even if you compare the thickness to the Razer Blade 16, like a substantial difference. And even when they're sitting on a table, there's these gigantic feet at the back here. And not only that, you have like this bump at the bottom. It really makes it a different product, much different than what you see. While it's disguised as being thin, it really isn't because of that design. And speaking of which, since we're already looking back here, let's take a look at the back, because that is completely redesigned. And I like what they did. I like that there's a glass window that shows some of the internals here. And yes, it is illuminated when the keyboard lighting is on. So it's a really cool effect. I really like what they did here. Very well done, very tasteful. Back to the front, you are getting a pure aluminum build. And this is one of the few 18-inch laptops, actually laptops in general, that's made completely out of metal. From the front to the back, to even the keyboard deck, and even the bezels on the screen is made out of metal, which is a nice little touch. It makes it look a lot more premium than most other laptops. But yeah, man, overall, very clean design, very nice build. Definitely the best built 18-inch laptops out there. Overall, one of the best built laptops in general. Really happy with that. So now let's open it up and let's take a look at the keyboard deck. Look at that. Razer has a number pad, and something I never thought I would say, but they have it. I know it's usually pretty hit or miss when it comes to that. Some people like it, some people don't. I, for one, love having it. One thing that's a little bit jarring, though, is usually when there is a number pad, the trackpad is offset a little bit more towards the left. In this case, that's not what's happening here. The trackpad remains centered. So it did take a little bit to get used to because the trackpad isn't centered with how I would type. Honestly, nothing really worth complaining about. Just something I noticed after 2 days of using this laptop, I completely forgot about that. So don't even worry about that. But yeah, very, very nice keyboard deck. There is not much flex, if anything. I'm now noticing that there is some flex because I'm doing this unrealistic test. No one's going to really be doing this, but man, this nice cold metal feels fantastic. Though, as you're using it, even on battery mode, it does start to get a little bit warm. Never too hot. I mean, you can't game with this on your lap, but just even right now, just with it being an idle, it is getting a little bit warm around the top here, but I mean, that's the thing when you ask for an all-metal build. Heat that lingers around more than it does typically with plastics. So you just gotta kind of pick your poison when it comes to this kind of stuff. And then this trackpad is gigantic and very easy to use. It's got a really nice click. So alright, so now that we're looking at the speaker grills here, let's do a speaker test.
I tried to cook production.
Okay, so I could only test this with around 50% volume because I was looking at my mic settings and things are starting to turn red, which means that it starts to clip. That's how loud this gets. This is by far the loudest speakers I've ever heard. And the clarity is on par with the G16. I wish I had the two of them to compare them side by side, but man, in some ways I prefer this for games. I might prefer the G16 more. And by the way, I'm talking about the Zephyrus G16 or G14. Those have really good speakers. I prefer this more for games because it's tuned in a way to where you get like a really good surround sound experience. So in certain games, like when you're playing first-person shooters and stuff, you can start to hear people behind you, in front of you. You can hear footsteps. It's tuned in that way, which is unlike anything I've ever heard before. So THX is doing some fantastic things with the tuning of these speakers. These are within the top 3 best sounding Windows laptop speakers I've ever heard. I wish the Blade 16 had the same treatment. It just doesn't. But man, these Blade 18 speakers sound good. And I was worried that now that they've introduced a number pad, the speaker grills themselves are smaller and if that would impact the sound. Thankfully they don't. These speakers are amazing and probably the biggest reason to buy this particular laptop over any of the other 18-inch laptops if you care about that stuff. So next I want to talk about the fan noise. This actually manages to be much quieter than last year's version of the Blade AT, and it's among the more quiet laptops out there. I still think that the Scar 18 is a more quiet device, and I just got the Alienware Area 51 16, and that does seem to be quieter than this. But overall, except for the Gigabyte Aorus 18, every single laptop is much quieter this year than they were last year. So before I get into the display and the performance, I just want to talk about what it's been like to use this laptop for about 30 days. It's been one of my favorite devices to use, and I really want to keep this as my main laptop. It is a bit more expensive, but the more that I test 18-inch laptops, the more that I realize that their utility is limited compared to something like the Razer Blade 16 or any other thin and light laptops. This I can just walk around and carry with me anywhere. When you have like a gigantic 18-inch laptop, it's not really possible to do that. You can't really carry this anywhere, and honestly, and this is not just the Razer Blade 18, this is every 18-inch laptop I've tested in general, and I've tested like 3 of them back to back. And as much as I love 18-inch laptops and I love this screen size, they're just too big and too heavy. When it's on my lap, after like an hour or so, you start to feel it. It becomes fatiguing. In some cases, like I start to lose feeling in my leg for a little bit, so I gotta like get up and walk around. I mean, that obviously never happens with 16-inch laptops. So I wish there was like a slim version of this. I mean, yeah, you are getting better performance compared to the 5090 Razer Blade, which I will do a bit of a comparison between the two of them when I do my performance review. But honestly, if they can get maybe like a 5.5 pound 18-inch laptop, give me the Ryzen 9 AI chip or the Intel Core Ultra 285H. I don't need the 275HX chip, which requires 45 watts just to run Windows normally. And that's another thing. With these laptops, you have to be plugged in all the time. Performance takes a big hit if you're trying to do anything. Like I took some pictures with my mirrorless camera in RAW, and I exported them into like the highest quality, and I was just like browsing through them on this laptop on battery, and it was like kind of just slow and chugging along. I mean, it's not a slow laptop, but the moment I plugged it in into this giant 400 watt charger, that is incredibly short. The cable's really short. I think they're all using the same 400 watt chargers. So like you're tethered to this charger. The cable itself is short, so that you always have to have this brick next to you. Like as much as I've been enjoying using this laptop, I just wish there was a more portable option of this 18-inch laptop, which I know in a way sounds kind of silly, but I think that's what I want. But when I am using it, though, I really love it. Like the entire package just holds together incredibly well. I just wish the battery just wasn't only 3 hours. Anyway, sorry for the rant. Moving on. Let's talk about the display. And wow, I did not think I would like this display at all. It is amazing. Even though it's not a mini LED or an OLED, it looks fantastic. Like things just look incredibly punchy. 4K, yes. At 18 inches, you definitely notice 4K. The screen looks much better than I thought it would, even though it's just a traditional IPS. So Razer and BOE, the manufacturer of this panel, did a fantastic job. Now the reason why I want to keep this laptop. So anyway, let's get into performance, and I'm going to make this quick. This performs on par or better than the Legion 16 that I recently checked out. This is running the newest NVIDIA drivers, which gives us back the full 175 watts. And compared to some of the other laptops that I've tested, back with older drivers, it's not making much of a difference. And I kind of figured that. Everybody goes a little bit nuts when it comes to not being able to get the full 175 watts of TGP of your GPU. But I found, and I've been, even before I started doing YouTube, I've been testing laptops. So like for 4 or 5 years now, I realized that with like the 5080 and the 5090, once you're pushing at least 150 watts, you're getting like 90% of the performance. If you go up to 165 or 175 watts, then you might get a few more frames. It's usually rarely noticeable. It's better just to save some of that power and make the overall system a little bit lighter, or go with something slimmer like the Razer Blade 16. And in Avatar, I did compare the two, and you know what? They're pretty comparable. I mean, yes, the Razer Blade 18 does perform better, but I find myself using my Blade 16 a lot more because it is more compact. But anyway, I'm going to continue doing more testing on the Blade 16. I haven't finished all of that yet, but overall, really, really good performance. This is something that Razer hasn't always been good at. They've always been more of like a slimmer brand in terms of their design chassis. But from what I showed earlier, that's not the game they're playing. They made a thick and heavy laptop, and they still managed to make it look like a nice laptop and perform as good as the other ones out there. I've done so many tests on the 5080s and the 5090s, and if you've been following along with my videos, you probably have a good idea for how these chips perform. So I'm just blasting through this. So this Blade 18 is fantastic. If I had an unlimited budget and I didn't care how big my laptop is, this 155% will be my laptop, or would have been my laptop. If you were considering this and you don't mind spending the extra, I think you're going to be very happy with it. I just can't find any flaws other than just the nature of these type of laptops where they're heavy, large, where battery life is bad because of that Intel Core Ultra 275HX chip. I've been using this as my main laptop, as my work laptop, and I'm just like these days now, I'm just like looking for reasons to like nitpick laptops and so to be able to tell them apart, but it's getting hard. All the laptops are good this year, but this is one of the better ones out there. So I don't know where else to take this video. Leave me some comments if I missed anything, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks. Bye.